Hello, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Teague's Take Podcast alongside George and JT. I am IndyCar Tim, and welcome into another week of the show. We want to welcome everybody on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitter. If you're watching us live, you're welcome to comment, ask a question. Would be happy to put you on the air, maybe answer that question. We also would like to welcome those of you listening to the recorded podcast on your favorite podcast app, whoever you are, wherever you are, and however you are listening. Welcome into Teague's Take. And George, it's another special show this week. We've got another great hand-picked guest by you. Why don't you tell us who's joining the show this week?
Yeah, well, thank you. And I don't get to take credit for this one, because this is something that Consuela was working on. So I need to tell you guys a story as part of as her introduction, because it always reminds us how close we are to meeting someone special, right? So during the state championships for TAPS football, Consuela and I were up there. We were sitting in the press box, and the official signer or the head of the officials group was there. We were just talking podcast stuff and just, yucking up like you do in the press box or whatnot, eating some cookies or something. And Consuela got to talking to a gentleman by the name of Roy, and telling them about the podcast. And at this time, this was in January, and we were looking for guests for February because we were trying to have people who did things first, right? If you guys remember those things. And so he had talked with Consuela about Crystal Cooksey, who was on the show with us tonight, saying that she was the first female to actually have officiated a state championship game in the UIL, which is not I say we're sisters and brothers, but not really. Anyway, she told me that. She was like, hey, I think this would be really interesting if you would have her on. It wasn't a Black History thing. It was just about being the first. Well, lo and behold, Crystal here, she big timing, man. She big time, and she said, you know what? It's going to cost you a little bit of money and maybe some wine and a good gift or something. So I had to go sign a few autographs first and make a little bit of extra change. And now, guess what? We have Crystal Cooksey on our show. She is a member of the Dallas Football Officials Association. Yeah, in her normal day, I guess she's a recreational supervisor for the Mesquite Park and Rec. She does officiate basketball, softball, basketball, and other things, church leagues and things of that nature. So we're very thankful to have you on, Crystal. Thank you for coming on, because this is still a special month, even though I talked about the month of February. But this is Women's History Month, right? And you have made history again, and there's a lot of that going on in the country, and I'm very proud of that, and we're very happy for that. So we're very thankful to have you on with that. So we want to spend a little bit of time, if we can, talking to you about officiating, how you got here, and things of that nature. So I got to ask you something totally off topic. I don't know if you saw my post today on Facebook or whatnot, and it have anything to do with officiating other than when you're out there doing that football game or any football that you can, because as a coach, I know JT probably can tell you this, when those guys come out there on that field, those stinking shoulder pads smell horrendous. And I'm wondering if you guys catch a whiff of those as officials out there, is that why you automatically blow or sometimes accidentally blow the whistle, because you can smell those shoulder pads? Can you smell those shoulder pads when you're out there, or is it just us?
It's bad. Sometimes you're bad. Sometimes I want to get in the middle of the field.
Yeah. Can you describe what that actually sounds like? It smells like to someone. When people say, what does a shoulder pad smell like? Can you actually say what the heck that smell is?
I can't describe it. You just have to smell it. Come join us and find out.
Oh man, because you go in that locker room. Good Lord, I'm like, dude, you stand in the huddle. I can't imagine when you try to get down in the pile down there. You're trying to get these guys up. Oh my gosh, you need a mask on for real. So,
George, we continue to promise listeners that they get quality insight that they can't get anywhere else on any other show, and you have not failed to deliver again.
well, no one thinks about that, right? We're always talking about the bad call, the flag that wasn't supposed to be there, the one that was supposed to be there. But these people, that as an official, there's so much that you guys have to do. I'm proud to be able to say I'm not the one that rant and raves with officials very often. JT, would
I
be?
was going to say not often. You have, but it's not often.
You've only stopped me from going on the field one time for as long as I remember in 11 years or however long we've been coaching.
Well, that's because you keep putting me in the box.
Well, okay. Well, smart daddy. So tell us how you actually got started before we get into the game and how that was to be able to coach in that. Tell us how you actually got in the officiating, Crystal.
Well, I started in college. I was a graduate student at Hardin-Simmons University, and so I was over the officials for our intramural sports. That was part of my job. So I trained the officials, and one of my coworkers, she brought me this league, a basketball league to do, a kids basketball league, and she said, "Hey, let's go officiate this league." And so we went out there and did that. And then I moved down to the Dallas area after college and started working for City of Mesquite, and got hooked up with the it was Park City's YMCA at the time. It's now Moody YMCA, and started doing basketball for them and kind of started doing some flag football. Was working with the president of the chapter, doing some flag football one day, and he invited me to come join the chapter. And at first I was like, I'm not sure about that, but went to the training sessions. First time I got on the field, fell in love with it. And from then on I was hooked, and that was 11 years ago. Started softball at the same time. I was actually officiating basketball in the chapter when I first moved down here. So I was officiating chapter basketball, football, and softball, and just started doing football pretty much 6 days a week. And fell in love with it, and that's my main sport that I enjoy most is football.
Crystal, before you got into officiating, what kind of background did you have in playing sports when you were in school?
I played sports all growing up. We played basketball. Pretty much our whole team played together our second grade through our senior year, traveling around travel ball in the summers, summer leagues, AAU. Play with different people from around. I'm from a small town, so we were that's all we had to do was play sports, and farm and ranch and have animals and that kind of thing. So I played basketball in high school. I played basketball, ran track. I was a sprinter and a high jumper. I actually was a state high jumper my freshman year in high school. And played golf on the golf team, cross country. We really didn't, at that time, they didn't have any other sports like softball or soccer or volleyball at my school. We were predominantly a huge basketball school, so that's kind of what we stuck to.
Very cool.
It is. And so you made me think of something, because not only do you play a lot of different sports, but if you're officiating, and we've known some officials that have been close to our family, I guess. And do you have to take on a different personality when you go from sport to sport like that? How much different are you? Or you just get to be you, because football officials seem to be different from baseball umps and basketball umps, because the stage is different, right? So is it a different mindset that you got to really get yourself into when you go from sport to sport to sport?
Yeah, I think with football, I think I have more interaction with the coaches. Being right there, right beside them, I get to communicate more with the coaches. Basketball is not quite as much, but more. than softball. Softball, between innings, I might talk to a coach when they have substitutions. That's really the only times I get to communicate with coaches. But football, I seem to be communicating with them throughout the whole game. And I think that's maybe why I like football so much, because I do like, interacting and talking with them and answering questions and that kind of thing. But as far as what it takes to be an official in the sports, I think it's the same throughout all the sports. You have to have good judgment skills, attention to details, that kind of thing. So I think what it takes to be an official is the same, but maybe how the game flows is maybe different for each sport.
Yeah, one thing you're not saying is you got to have thick skin.
Sometimes, yeah.
I don't know how you deal with not just the coaches, but the crowds. If you're in basketball, oh my gosh, it's hard for me to even, and I'm an athletic director. Okay, I don't know if you knew that or not. At John Paul II High School, I've been an athletic director for 18 years now. And going to these basketball games, man, just listening to our parents, and many parents, I'm like, there's no way I could be an official at a basketball game because they're right up on you. I think I'd be throwing people out left and right.
Basketball is harder.
Basketball, they have coordinated like ref chants. No other sport chants at a ref like they do at basketball.
Yeah, I mean, golly, it's tough, man. And I don't know, but I'm commending you because I know there's shortage, at least in Texas, of officials. It seems like we hear about that a lot because the stress. I would imagine it's because of stress, that people put you guys under younger and younger. You can't even play a pee-wee flag football game anymore without fights and whatever because of a call, It's crazy.
Unfortunately, that's true.
What's up with that, man? It's just our culture. I don't know. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
You're old enough to know the answer to that question, George. You know what's wrong with the world.
Man, I know, but I've been in my feelings all day, and I know we're going to talk about Deshaun Watson and all that stuff later, but I've been talking about that already. And it's just, there's so much stuff just going on, and for, to have a young lady like this doing this, right? And she's in a state championship game. And think about how many times we've seen catastrophes happen in big games like that. So let's talk about this championship game. How does the process work for officials to be chosen, from non-district to, I guess there's probably even more weight left on district games versus playoff versus state championship games? How does that work?
Well, during the regular season for our assignments, the coaches get together and they actually draft crews. We're on crews. So every crew goes into this pool and they draft who's going to be working their games for that year. After that, when we go into the playoffs, you either have assignment committee or coaches picks. The coaches might get together from both teams and agree on crews that they want to come work those games. Once it gets up to the state championship games, from my understanding, it's basically the chapter might get the game. So whatever chapter gets that game, then it gets assigned by the chapter, which crew is going to work that game.
Well, and it's great that you said that. I was actually looking this up because the draft, fellas, and I think I sent JT an invite.
Yeah, I think it's April 12th, April 11th.
12th is this year. So we get an opportunity to do that, and I've invited because a lot of coaches don't even understand that. Typically, I go as a head coach or maybe another athletic director or something to go and draft. Now, this is not for every level. It's particularly for UIL schools, and I don't know how many levels you go in private school to get to go to those drafts. I don't think every level in TAPS to go. I know our Division I level does for sure. Maybe D2. I can't remember. So anyway, it's very interesting. And now I'm wondering, fellas, if I'm even allowed to be able to pick her crew when I'm there. Now that I've had her on the show, that might, if I submit it, she might have to say, no, I can't officiate that game because I've been on this podcast. I didn't even think of that beforehand. Good Lord. So make sure you let me know that I don't violate that, just in case you on the board.
Gotcha.
I would definitely don't want to have to, lose a crew. But anyway, so the game, right? So you're in this game, and so you were at the state championship game. It was a 6-man football game. Is that correct?
Correct.
How different is that game compared to 11-man? How much different are the rules when you have to do a 6-man versus 11-man football game?
I mean, a lot of the rules are the same. I mean, there's variations, of course. The exchange rule, there has to be 2 exchanges. And, the plays you see some crazy plays, a lot of high-scoring games. But they're fun. And I really haven't got to do 6-man in a few years much because with the 11-man, schedule that we got, it was I didn't have any open dates. But I got, due to COVID this year, them splitting the 5A, 6A starting later. I had some open dates, and so I took the class because I really wanted to work 6-man again. And the crew always needs people to work 6-man games because not everybody, you have to go through a class, so not everybody's eligible to work them. So I just love it. It's fast paced, it's high scoring, it's you can't, if you haven't seen a 6-man game, you need to see a 6-man game. That's what I gotta say. It's fun.
And it's a shame I haven't actually. So do you have to run more? And it says a high pace, and they're probably having longer runs, or at least more field to run on.
Just smaller.
The field's actually smaller.
Field, but
yeah, it's actually smaller. But I mean, you are, we use during the regular season we work 6-man with a 4-man crew. Okay. So you have what we call a umpire and back judge combined.
Did you just say a bumpire?
Bumpire. So I got to work that one time this year, and that was a lot of running, I do have to say. But I mean, it is a lot of running, but it's it's no really different, than working a 5A, 6A game, running down the field, at high rate of speed. But there's some great athletes. They play both sides of the ball, a lot of them. So they're amazing athletes, and especially at the state championship game, we got to see a center he was an amazing athlete. So it was fun.
Oh wow! So I won't ask her this, but JT and Tim, what do you guys think about in our game? So sometimes we see the field judge and the umpire standing next to each other, and they got their backs to us, and it says "F you." So, do you think they're doing that on purpose, or what do you think that means?
Man, I hope so, because that's great.
Like, really? What is this, man? Come on. Or am I just being too sensitive? Am I too sensitive a coach? What do y'all think, man?
I think you got too much time on your hands on the sideline.
You just happen to notice things. So it's kind of funny. I'm like, come on, man. Really? Is that what we're doing out here today? Oh man. Anyway, but it is, it is a task, and she reminds me about this stuff. And a lot of people don't understand how you draft officials, and I mean, I've had to say that to our staff. Like, man, when they start yelling at the rest, you're like, you do realize that we drafted them or we picked them. It's not our job to go out there and tear them down. They might not even want to work our games the next time. I'd imagine that you guys can say, no, I'm not going to work the game for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't know that happens very much, but I know we have the ability to scratch officials that may be appointed, right? At the same time, if we don't get them or if something happens. So I just think that it's you guys' profession is important. It takes a lot of man, I don't know, just be able to handle us as coaches. And there's some bad coaches, I would say, that are over the top too much, and their parents, and sometimes they're even kids. man, we had to see that this year, right? With unfortunate case of the kid smashing the official out
Yeah.
there, So, hey, I just got to tell Craig because he keeps going in his box. We're gonna have to talk NCAA basketball later on in the show, man. Right now, we're doing some official talk, so we'll get to you. All right. So, what kind of advice? What would you tell Crystal to young people or people who are aspiring to do this? What do they need to know about the profession for them to know if they're really going to want to join and be an official?
I encourage everybody to come out and try it. I mean, as you said earlier, we're short officials, all through, I saw something today about being short in Texas and, nationwide. We can't have the game without officials. So I encourage young aspiring officials to come out, join us, get into the books, learn the rules, first of all. You can't be a good official unless you know the rules. And give it a whirl. Get on the field. I'll have to say my very first game ever was a JV game. I was going to be back judge. One of the officials didn't show up, so I had to be umpire. So scared to death out in the middle of the field. First game ever is a JV game. And I think it was a 5A JV game. And so don't be scared. Get out there and do it. I got out there and I did it, and enjoyed it, had a blast, and learn, like I said, learn your rules, watch film, meet new people, network. You will. Some of the guys in my chapter, I wouldn't be where the official I am today if it wasn't for them, because they've taken me under their wing. They've encouraged me. And, we encourage new officials because, we don't want to see them get out there and get frustrated and quit. So I just encourage everybody to just come out and try it. It's a great exercise. You get to I enjoy being with kids on the field, especially that's why I do a lot of younger kids as well. Because I enjoy, helping them learn the game. And so I guess that's really, I encourage everybody just to give it a try. If you want to sit up in the stands and criticize maybe that the rules, come out and come join us.
Do you guys do like seminars or anything for parents, or non-officials, not to pull them into the business, but to maybe really give them what the real rules are and not what they just see sitting in the stands?
I don't know of anything like that, but that's a great idea. Only thing I really know that we go through is our officials training all summer, and while we were shut down since March, and then all summer actually was on virtual trainings through the college officials network. But that's something that we could think about and maybe incorporate into some of our trainings.
So one of the things that I do, and I'm gonna put you on the spot right here, I guess, is because I'm gonna ask you. So typically at John Paul II, or any school that I've been in, I do a mom's one-on-one night where I bring in just the parents, the moms of the football players on our team. And so we as coaches try to give them the basics of football, all the way down to how to put on shoulder pads and how to put on helmets. In the past, I always try to invite an official to come, and we will pay for the official's time to be able to come and speak to the moms in particular about officials. Do they really know what the rules are? Do they know what the hand signals are? We try to give them a quiz, and so that they can ask questions. And so I think you'd be a great fit, man. The next time we do this in August, if you don't live too far away from us, I guess, perhaps you could drive on over to JP2 and, spend a few minutes with our parents really talking about maybe the pressures of how they got to control their husbands from getting overboard, but really understanding what the rules are, because most of the moms don't. I'm not saying this in a derogatory way, but a lot of them are really confused about what holding really is, or clipping or whatever, what a chop block is. And we don't get too heavy into it, but I think it'd be cool if you come out, and at least from a women's perspective too.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Really say that was like, so if it's all right with you, I'd like to keep in touch.
Sounds good.
And do that.
So, Crystal, how long before we see you and Sarah out there on Sundays together at the NFL level? When's that going to happen?
I think it'll be a while. I got to get to college first. I'm going to a college camp in a couple of months, so we'll see.
Very nice. Very nice. We look forward to it for sure.
I enjoy watching Sarah.
And we can't appreciate you enough for popping on with us. You've shown some great insight and great conversation, and I'm sure everybody that's listening appreciates, and everybody that will listen, your insight and your time. And sure, George, want to have you back on again sometime soon. And it sounds like you guys are going to get together for some officiating classes too.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, there she goes.
Thank you.
Crystal, appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Crystal Cooksey. Appreciate having her on. We're going to take a quick break, George, and then we'll be back right after this.
ProfoundSites.com for your personal and commercial needs. Websites built, repaired, secured, maintained, and found. Brent Thomas and ProfoundSites.com provide e-commerce development, website development, online marketing, web, mobile, and e-commerce consulting. With over 10 years experience, Profound Sites is responsible for creating GeorgeTeague.com, where you can hear Teague's Take with George Teague every week. Brent Thomas and Profound Sites can take you through the entire pain-free process of building your new website. From initial discussion to planning, design, to coding, and making your site live and discoverable on the internet. Contact Brent Thomas at ProfoundSites.com or email him at brent@ProfoundSites.com.
Hey, sports and sports memorabilia fans, this is IndyCar Tim. I want to talk to you about our new friend Chris Gordon over at the Cowboy House, cowboyhousesports.com on the web. Now, Chris is super passionate about all sports, and that's why the Cowboy House is so much more than just a Dallas Cowboys sports memorabilia store. He's got unique game-used memorabilia and rare, hard-to-find autographs for teams across the globe. Everything from the NFL, MLB, NHL, NBA, golf, UFC, soccer, Olympics, even from Hollywood and the political sector. And his store isn't just a fancy mall store. It's more of a man cave that he likes to share with his friends and customers. Come on into the store at 209 South Shady Shores Drive, Suite 200 in Lake Dallas, and you can walk on the Texas Stadium end zone turf. You can sit in a chair from Yankee Stadium or Texas Rangers Globe Life Park. Check out hundreds of autographed jerseys from hundreds of teams. Check out thousands of photos signed with certificates of authenticity. He's also got custom framing for all of your sports memorabilia items. Chris Gordon over at cowboyhousesports.com. 214-551-5978. Thank you, Cowboy House.
Need a one-stop shop for Cowboys news happening over at the Star in Frisco? Click on over to cowboyssi.com, featuring Mike Fisher with 30 years experience covering America's team. It's the most popular of all Sports Illustrated sites and home to the Cowboys Blitzcast podcast. Cowboyssi.com is the place to get inside your Cowboys. With such a talented team of writers and reporters over there, you'll always know the latest about personnel and roster moves, salary cap issues, and draft class status. Click on over to cowboyssi.com and get the inside scoop on America's team.
3R Sports Graphics. Hello, everybody. You've probably seen the graphics that are out on social media every week that announce the guest for Teague's Take for that week, as well as their credentials listed there on the graphic as well. Those come from our good friend Tyler Sanders over at 3R Sports Graphics. Now, he only works for schools, so we need to mention that. Some of his proud schools are Liberty Christian, Parish Episcopal, Legacy Christian, and Fort Worth Christian. These are custom graphics for your school's athletic department. Hire Tyler Sanders and 3R Sports Graphics, and you will work one-on-one with a graphic designer. You will get final score graphics the night of the game, unlimited graphics with a one-year contract, and you can fulfill the sports information director role of a school, but for a fraction of the cost. And he will handle this for you every week. He puts it out on social media for you as well. He handles that. Give Tyler Sanders a call with 3R Sports Graphics, 713-933-9767, or you can shoot him an email, tsanders2405@gmail.com. Tyler Sanders, 3R Sports Graphics, on Twitter at 3R Sports and the number 1. And check out his Twitter feed. He's got all of the examples. You can scroll through his feed and look at all of the graphics as he's done for everybody. Tyler Sanders, 3R Sports Graphics. Give him a call now. Thank you, Tyler. Welcome back, everybody, into Teague's Take alongside George and JT. I am still IndyCar Tim. Great show so far. Appreciate Crystal Cooksey coming on, talking about her experience as the first female official for UIL to officiate a state championship game here in Texas. Inspiration, really, as it is. What is it? Salute to Women Month. I can't remember what it's actually called, George. What is it?
It's Women History Month.
Women History. Okay. I knew it's Women's Month, but that sounds bad if I just call it that. I don't want it.
It does. You're right.
So we appreciate her popping on. We've got some sports coming up, and for sure, because I was seeing the same thing you were seeing with Craig. He's really excited to talk some Alabama basketball. We're going to get into that shortly, Craig. But first, it's time for some of this.
Time for America's favorite segment, Money Matters with JT.
What's up, JT?
Well, unfortunately, we have to address the topic of Deshaun Watson and his mounting lawsuits. It started with 3, and then you turn around and it was 7, and then 12, and then 14. I think it might be up to 17. I might be making that up. I can't remember now. But
16 as of 3 hours ago.
There you go, 16. So, before we were talking about is Deshaun done in Houston for different reasons, and depending on the outcome of these various investigations and things like this, we might be seeing Deshaun done for forever. So for those who aren't aware, he has been accused of sexual harassment and assault by 16 different women, all stemming from massages that he has personally called to his house. Allegedly, he's been contacting these women via Instagram and inviting them over to their house and doing very inappropriate things, which I will not repeat. That has been reported. Most of those cases are open and public or most of the filed cases are open and viewable by the public. So if you do want to see what the complaints are, you can find them. So far, it looks like there'll be a class action lawsuit, which is a civil suit. So anything that comes out of that would be damages, cash settlements, things like that. Not necessarily jail time, but should they decide to send the case to a grand jury, those would fall under criminal charges, which would carry some kind of jail sentence, something like I can't remember the Saints safety, what his name was. It was Darren Sharper. No, see, I got it. I always mix those up. Roman Harper is the Saints safety, but he is not the one that has been locked up in 3 different states. It's Darren Sharper, the one that was accused and found guilty of drugging women. So,
right. So yeah, just to clarify, he has not been charged with a crime to this point.
Right.
Just simple. Like you said, a class action lawsuit. There's no charges against him yet, but of course, if things grow, then that possibility is there.
I don't know if he was done with his talking points or not, because this is so, and there's so many different ways to go down this, and I'm not trying to turn this into a conspiracy or hate on Deshaun or not trust the women and all this kind of stuff, but good Lord, man, this is a case, where I went on live on Instagram and on Periscope before this, really asking fans what JT just asked: can Deshaun survive this? Is this it? Regardless of what happens, is it pretty much done? Because once the NFL now has to come and make their judgment, that doesn't have to do anything with the facts at all, right? Is over or could be over. The ladies that have been that have their allegation with this, can they get closure out of this? And how long does this take? Is this a 2-year ordeal? Is this a 4-year ordeal? 6 years? How long does it take to handle a case like this? And then my third question would be, does the only people that don't get hurt with this are the Houston Texans? They just got to go on and beat a team and do what they're going to do, right? I assume. So it's tragedy, man. It's tragic for at least for 17 individuals. And again, I don't want to pretend like I'm taking sides or something, because I'm not, because I believe women's voices should be heard and should be doing that. But from the other side, you got a guy that is really, or an organization that is hamstrung this guy in another sense that has nothing to do with this case. I'm not even going to try those together. A lot of that happened, fellas, in my conversation in the live. Houston, the team actually did this to him. And I can't remember, JT, if you were the one who told me this, or if it was someone else, that the attorney for these ladies, and please know I'm neutral in this, okay? I'm not saying that, but the attorney for this filing this suit against Deshaun lives next door. How ironic is it? He lives next door to the owner of the Texans or whatever. I don't know if there's any truth to that. Is there some truth to that? That he really does?
I have no idea. I haven't heard that, but I hadn't dug that deep into his lawyer.
Yeah,
or the other lawyer.
I don't even know. Okay, maybe that wasn't you, but someone told me, hey, you do know that this is the neighbor of the guy. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this can't be, that coincidental. He lives right next door to but I don't know.
So, and I don't know if you guys are aware, the attorney representing these women is Tony Busby. And dude, he is a bad arse attorney in the state of Texas. This guy's a high roller. He's been around the block. He doesn't take just any lawsuits. He's not out to make a name for himself with something. He's already got the name in the state of Texas. So for him to take these cases, you're
thinking that there's probably something there because he's not taking losers.
Yeah. I mean, again, he's been around the block. He's represented stuff like this before. He's not going to take it if there's not some substance to it. He's not just out trying to make a buck for his clients because he's got all the money already and all the notoriety and all the fame in the world of attorneys. So, yeah, it looks really bad for Deshaun with him being on the case for sure.
Man, that's sad. That's sad. I mean, I wish there was some good advice that I could give to these ladies on social media, and particularly dealing with these high profile people, whether they're actors, football, whatever. Man, you got to vet these guys too, right?
Right.
I mean, home massages is already risky, one thing or another,
Yeah, they said that only one of them had actually dealt with professional athletes before. The rest of them all were
newbies.
Yeah, amateurs, for lack of a better phrase.
It doesn't mean they should be put in a compromising position. For sure.
No, I'm just saying, I guess when you deal with people of that caliber all the time, you may be more privy on how to navigate situations like that because you've probably seen it before and you know how to get out of there quickly or diffuse situations like that. But if you've never been, if this is happening to you and you've never been in that kind of situation, it's that much more stressful. And, according to some of the reports, he was successful in getting what he wanted. And, and so he was successful in some cases and not successful in others. So it leads me to believe that some of the worst accusations were probably of women who were never been in any kind of scenario like this.
Right.
And
they shouldn't have to be, but
because I don't want to be the, but I will say this: if there's one piece of advice that I could give to anybody listening to this, the professional athletes have resources out of this world. We can call people. We got FBI people, basically Secret Service people that we can vet people and know who needs to be in our house, first of all. And if a player is contacting you through some type of social media to come and ask you for a massage and you have these business, you need to stop for a second and just say, why is he calling me and not the professional massage person that they can bring to the stadium and give them a really, really good sports therapy massage or whatever? Why are they not using those people? Ask those questions. And why does he want me to come over to his house and do this private massage out by the pool in the whirlpool? I'm making that part up, right? But still, I mean, you really got to think that these guys, he's got $100 million in the bank, and he is going to come and ask you, on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or something, hey, I got $50 for you to come over here and give me a massage. Stop it, man. Just stop it.
Never worked for me before.
Be smart about it. That's all I'm saying. Isn't it? There's nothing. This is terrible. This is terrible. I hate to hear this about ladies. I hate to hear this, being exposed or treated or, and mistreated, assaulted. It just is bad. And I don't know, we didn't answer your question, but I don't know how he survives this. I don't know all the facts. I don't know the truth. He hadn't been tried. Sure, people saying the innocent till proven guilty thing. I don't know that works in the National Football League too much. And when you got this many cases, I don't see how he doesn't get suspended, even before this goes to trial or whatnot. I don't see how the NFL can't come in just based upon history and not say you're out until until proven innocent. How can they do that? I don't know.
Especially the culture of the league and the view that a lot of people have of the league right now. Yeah, they need to protect themselves the best they can if there is a way. So
Yes.
we'll keep everybody up to date with what's happening with Deshaun Watson in that situation. Thanks, JT. That's a great topic for tonight. So Cowboys have signed their super safety. Some people call him
signing.
Neil.
I love the signing. The hybrid safety, linebacker / strong safety. He's got a history, of course, with Quinn in Atlanta. Quinn drafted him. But Cowboys don't seem to be done yet. They've got 2 more safeties in their sights. And I'm not mad about that. George, you're probably more familiar with the cover 3 defense than anybody, either one of, well, I don't know, JT might be too. I just know it from studying it on paper, but it seems to me in Quinn's cover 3 defense, you can't have enough usable safeties in that defense, the way you need to rotate them in and out, the way that the coverages work with the corners, playing zone underneath, and then you're stuck out on an island with your man deep. And you got to have safeties that can cover. You got to have safeties that can tackle. And I love the Neal signing for sure. And of course, they're looking at Malik Hooker and DeMontre Casey too. And
I like both of those too.
I'd take them, but yeah, sign them. I'm not. I got lit up on social media by some people who clearly did not know anything about football, and they're like, "Why do you want the Cowboys to wrap all that money up in safeties? We need defensive line help." I'm like, you know what? Ain't going to be no defensive line help if you can't have some safeties to protect that defensive line. So I'm all for it.
I agree. I think we got to both, and I'm not saying this because I'm biased because of defensive back. I just think in the world, the way the football played now, you got to have some dudes that can cover back there. Yes, you got to have some pass rush. Can't remember who we were having a debate with it. Pass rush equals better coverage. Yes, it does go hand in hand. But I've been, intrigued about what they've been doing. Grabbing Neal is probably a good one. People don't want to give guys a fair chance. Oh, he came off of the Falcons defense, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's good. If we can grab another one, create some competition, that's going to be good.
For just because you mentioned it as an offhand comment, I don't think the Falcons defense was the problem. The problem was the Falcons offense. Just whenever halftime hit, they were like, "Yeah, we're just done scoring points." Like whatever.
That would be Matt Ryan. I think I was telling y'all that all year, but no, Tim doesn't like Matt Ryan either. There's no way he don't
like Matt Ryan. I don't mind Matt Ryan.
And you're right, but I don't know. I think it's good. Anytime you can get people that you can trust, I think of that as a player wise. A lot of players follow coaches that they've played with as well. So I think if they can bolster that up, it does make me think about what the draft is going to look like, because I see they've already picking up. They've done very heavy on the defense, right? Signing Jordan Lewis back.
Yep.
What do you say? Whatever. Yeah. But they're going to get one, right? Are they setting this up for the free agency, for the draft, that they do get? Everybody's talking about Patrick Surtain, so we had to talk about it. Are they setting this up to go get a corner? They go get the safeties in the free agent market. They signed Jordan Lewis. They got Trayvon Diggs. Do they go get another corner there and go ahead and solidify this back in? Or is it going to be an offensive guy?
And I think they're setting it up to draft one of those corners, either Horn, Surtain. I mean, Caleb Farley. I mean, that's the way it's looking. They're setting it up for one of those guys, and one of them will be available. There's no question.
I think Surtain's about to pass the Farley kid after the Bama Pro Day. So I didn't see it, but someone called me and told me that Surtain was
blew everybody.
218, 442 or whatever.
Well, yeah, and that was his biggest knock, right? Was he wasn't, he wasn't that fast. He was just a good cover guy, but he didn't have any speed. And it was like, well, I don't know, man. I thought in order to be a good cover guy, you kind of had to have a little bit of speed. You can't be slow and cover somebody.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Does he become the number one corner now? As opposed to where they did. I don't know if everybody had him, if Mel Kiper and those guys had him the number one corner. From all the draft boards I saw, I didn't see him listed as the number one corner to come off the board. But I think that may change.
I mean, everybody that I've seen talking it's been going back between Surtain and Farley, with J.C. Horn being a close third. There's a little bit of a gap there. The only reason that I don't like Horn for the Cowboys is just because he's still a little bit of a project. I think he's a bit like Diggs was. And I don't think you need two Trayvon Diggs. You need somebody who can just kind of be solid, even if the ceiling is not like super high. If you're not drafting Darrelle Revis or Stephon Gilmore or Champ Bailey or somebody like that, if you can get this is the name that came to mind was Asante Samuel, even though he does have his kid is also in the draft. But if you can get somebody like an Asante Samuel who's just a good corner, he's not going to necessarily be mentioned with the best corner of all time, but somebody who's just going to be.
Stop it, JT. Just stop it, man. We would need the people that are going to be talked about with that.
Well, I don't. I'm just saying I don't actually know that the next Darrelle Revis is in this draft. Maybe it is Surtain, but
we need a dog. Whoever that is, we need a dog. I put that on my tweets and the stuff that I've been putting it on. One of the formulas that we have is we need someone that can take over a game, or at least create enough emotion and fire with that. And in this JB74 up here, I forgot about this, that Farley was having a back surgery. I heard that came out, and I wonder how much that will hurt him or not, or if it will be used as that. Because you know what I'm thinking here, and I'm going to be watching this draft day because with these changes, with these DBs, say he falls, Farley, and say Surtain goes up. Devontae Smith didn't run in the pro day.
Mm-hmm. He didn't do anything but weigh in and
he only weighed in. Yeah. So does he stay the same, or does that hurt him some?
No.
If he's available at 10, is Jerry Jones going to take him?
Oh my God.
Is Jerry Jones going to take him if he's available at 10 now? Because he could fall. It could be the exact same doggone thing. We're talking about 3 spots. They're saying he's going to be at 7. Surtain goes, man, I don't know. I know it's all
I love me some Smitty, but the Cowboys do not need a receiver.
That don't matter. Will they take him? Tim said last week, you take the best available guy on the board.
And then you start taking trade offers.
And if he's there, do they snatch him? See, JB says she sees a 2-spot drop. You see a 2-spot drop for Smitty
or Farley?
I put him in that
because of the certain. No, but I don't know that he would be their best player on their board at 10, though.
Receivers are a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
170 pounds is thin, fellas. I wouldn't even have got on the scale, man.
I just got on a scale earlier, but I didn't like it, so I broke it.
Did you break it because you stood on it, or did you break it after you got off
of it? I broke it after I got off of it because I didn't like what it was telling me, so I had to smack it a little bit, and it broke.
So she's saying finally drops 2. So that would put him at 11. But that would move Surtain up. I'm telling you, man, this could get dicey. We got to have a good show that day. Just what this looks like, because this is going to be interesting.
Well, let's take another quick break, boys, and then we'll come back, talk some March Madness.
Let's do it.
How's that sound?
I love it. Let's do it, because my bracket is busted.
Yeah, it was busted on day 1.
Yeah, hey, Oral Roberts, baby. Oral Roberts. We'll talk about that next.
Increased time inside your home, noticing all the little things needing attention? Let Repair Resource be your one trusted contractor to tackle all of your home repair needs. They do it all: electrical, plumbing, drywall, painting, and flooring of all types. They can even handle your exterior needs, like fencing, patio covers, concrete pads, and decking. No job too big or small. Repair Resource does it all. Call them at 972-415-1198 or visit them online at www.repair-resource.com.
Hey, this is IndyCar Tim. I want to talk to you about the Maverick Bar and Grill in Carrollton, Texas. It's North Dallas's premier sports bar and grill located at 1616 West Hebron Parkway. It's 16 minutes from just about anywhere in the DFW Metroplex. With all of the live action on dozens of TVs and the big screen, it's the place to hang out and watch the return of sports with all your friends. Friday and Saturday nights, you'll find the best live music in DFW right there at the Maverick Bar. And of course, on Thursday nights at 6 p.m., you'll find Teague's Take broadcasting live with Alabama and Cowboys legend George Teague. Come hang out and be part of the show. Check out the Maverick Bar and Grill in Carrollton, 972-492-7500, or on the web at themaverickbar.com. Welcome back, everybody. Great show, George, JT. Appreciate you guys so much. Let me be a part of this thing. Lots of sports. We've got the, of course, Cowboys free agency. We just covered a little bit. And, man, there's so many things that's going to happen over the next few days with that. And we'll cover it all next week for everybody. Keep everybody caught up. Make sure you go over to CowboysSI.com to stay caught up on all the Cowboys signings, their potential signings, draft moves, player personnel. Check over there multiple times per day because they update all the information at CowboysSI.com multiple times per day. We also want to say thanks to ProfoundSites.com, Repair Resource, the Cowboy House, the Maverick Bar and Grill, and, of course, 3R Sports Graphics that takes care of our social media graphics every week. Thank you, boys. We appreciate you guys. George, JT, March Madness is in full swing right now. We've had some upsets. We've had broken brackets. And if anybody tells me their bracket is still intact, I would call them so many versions of a liar that I can't even say it right now. But
Yes.
big things happening, man.
Man, the big thing happened is Bama is still rolling, and they may even have a better chance. Well, they're definitely going to get to the Final Four, right? I hope, dun, 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 dun. Yes, sir. Let's do it, baby. But I wanted to see what you guys thought about it, because there's been so many upsets that, typically we're talking about one, maybe two things getting shaken up. But this bracket is ridiculously broken, and there have been so many upsets. So which one from you guys' mind is the one that sticks out to you most? If I need to give you a couple, y'all are good sports fans, so y'all know about them. But which one sticks out to you the most? Is it Abilene beating Texas? Is it Oral Roberts beating OU? Is it Ohio beating Virginia? Which one, JT? We'll start with you. Which one? Give us some scenarios here. What you think is the biggest one?
I'm right now. I'm leaning toward. I'm looking back through this. I'm leaning towards North Texas over Purdue.
Really?
Well, actually, I mean, are we only talking about the first round?
Yeah. Well, let's start there. Let's start there. We can let's go with the first round upsets. You would say North Texas, Purdue is bigger than
Oral Roberts,
Ohio State.
Well,
they're very
I do. Now I know Tim called the Oral Roberts win over Ohio State. I didn't call that, but I only had Ohio State winning one game anyway. So I wasn't very high on Ohio State, unlike somebody else on this show.
Which I'll admit it. I
may or may not have had them in the final.
No, I had them in the. Oh yeah, I did in our bracket. I think I had them. No, I had them losing. No, they beat Baylor. Yeah, I had them in the final to play.
Yeah, so I didn't even have them making it to the Sweet 16, so I wasn't really tripping about that. I didn't think that. I didn't think UNT was any good, just because they're not really good at sports in general. So
good sports med teams though.
It's a great art school.
Yeah. Sports psychology. I'm sorry, they got good sports psychology.
Yeah, they do.
So to me, in the first round, that was the one I was a little shocked over. Abilene Christian. It is surprising to me, but we've seen this from like Stephen F. Austin. Texas ain't made the tournament in forever. It was a shock to me that Texas had never won the Big 12 tournament before. As far as I was concerned, Texas really hasn't really been good since Kevin Durant was there. So I didn't think they were going to lose in the first round either, but Purdue, if any of those teams, if you gave me all the teams that got upset and you said pick one not to lose, my pick would have been Purdue.
I would. So in that first round, I think I'm on the other side with the Ohio-Virginia game. I don't think, I could see some of the other upsets. Tim did pick a very good one. I don't know if he was playing or, he had too much coffee in his cup that Tuesday.
Does it really matter? No, I think.
But the Ohio-Virginia game, I think that one, and it didn't even matter to me. It's not like I got anything into it, but that one just kind of hit me like, really?
Well, I'll tell you what, I forgot that Virginia was the last champions. I definitely thought that the last March Madness was when they became the first team to lose as a 1 seed. So I was totally like, yeah, this is just par for the course for Virginia.
Yes. See, so I don't know. What about you, Tim? That first round?
Oh, I got to go with North Texas. Yeah, even over Oral Roberts, over Ohio State. Man, North Texas winning their first game first round game. That was huge, and not just because I live right down the road or anything, but there's no way anybody picked that. I don't care how drunk you were making out your brackets. There's no way you picked North Texas.
No, unless you went to North Texas.
Unless you went to school there, and even then you were crossing
right. Okay, so what about the second round then? What do you got? So does that mean you guys are taking the Oral Roberts, beating Florida?
Yeah, that's mine
or
for
you
round.
Taking the Loyola over Illinois.
Okay, so I was kind of thinking Loyola, Illinois, but as the resident Drake alum and having watched MVC basketball.
Oh, so you still mad at Creighton because Creighton's going to Sweet 16? I just thought
I knew they were. I just
He's still mad about that, huh?
Yeah, but I knew Loyola was good, and I knew they had a chance to beat Illinois. I just didn't think they were gonna put hands on Illinois like that and run them out of the gym. That was a shock to me. So that's kind of why I'm leaning towards that one being more of a bigger upset, because I thought it would have been a closer game, and if Loyola, pulled it out at the end, I'd have been like, okay, good game. I could have lived with that, but what they did to Illinois was not something I thought I would have ever seen coming.
Mm-hmm. You agree with that, Tim?
Yeah. I like the Oral Roberts over Florida, but man, Loyola, an 8 over a 1, that's better than a 15 over a 7 any day, especially being Loyola Chicago and being Illinois, who I had going to the Final Four.
Yeah, I did too, and I think that's why I'm upset about the Iowa loss as well. I think I agree with you guys, but Oregon beating Iowa the way they did too,
right? Yeah, that was another one.
Like, oh my God,
even pretty.
So hey, how many Final Fours
on that team that look like Lurch to y'all with his unibrow or whatever he has on? He look like Lurch.
He doesn't know who Lurch is.
No,
he doesn't know who Lurch is.
Well, I know you know who Lurch is.
I know. Hey, Lurch used to be a Channel 8 here in Dallas, a Channel 8 weatherman. Way back in the day. I mean, way before our time. But yeah,
I can't tell when you playing and when you not.
He worked for WFAA TV here in Dallas before he went into acting.
Quit playing, man.
Why would I joke about it? Where would I even come up with that fact off my head?
I don't know how you come up with the stuff you come up with, man.
100% true, man. 100% true. I will send you some proof.
Yeah, please do.
I will offer you guys the number 1 overall upset so far in the tournament, and it's not one team over another. But you guys realize that Pac-12 teams are 9-1 in this tournament?
Oh yeah, that is.
Yeah. What the heck?
See, and I think I caught up in the hype of figuring that the other teams, the Michigans, the Ohio State, those guys were going to end up being the powerhouses this year.
Yeah,
and I was talking to my manager about this, and because he's a Penn State alum, and he was lamenting about how bad the Big Ten has been doing in this tournament, and he blames it on the marketing around the Big Ten, because he was like, apparently I just drank the Kool-Aid. Everybody was saying how the Big Ten's the best basketball conference and this, that, and the other thing. And, he watches a lot, but he watches a lot of Big Ten basketball. His eyes were telling him that he wasn't terribly impressed, but everything else that he was hearing was kind of feeding that the Big Ten is supposed to be better at basketball than what I'm actually seeing on the court.
Right.
Okay. So listen, as we get ready to close, there's 3 games. I want you to guys give me your predictions, just win or loss on these 3 games. Okay. Number 3, Arkansas, 15, Oral Roberts. Who wins the game?
ORU, baby.
I mean, I still got it. I got to stay true to the bracket. I had Arkansas going into the Elite 8, so I'm sticking with Arkansas.
All right. FSU, Michigan.
I had FSU going into the Elite 8 as well. And I actually had Michigan losing to LSU, so I guess I gotta get redemption on that one.
Yeah, I got Michigan.
All right. Me too. I think. I don't know yet. I got a week because I got some wagers on these things. I have to tell you how we bet on this, me and one of my buddies. Bama, UCLA.
Well, let me tell you what. I had to replace all the light bulbs in the house because after watching them shoot out the lights against Maryland, had to get new ones. I got Alabama. I actually had this is one part of the bracket that I had right. I have this matchup on my bracket, UCLA and Alabama. And I got Alabama winning. So
I hadn't even looked at our little deal anymore after mine went to crap.
I was going to ask how many Final Four teams and Elite Eight teams do each of you have left on your bracket?
I have Gonzaga and Bama. My West and East.
I got that in front of me.
But I didn't. I had Ohio State and I had Illinois.
But I will tell you, my heart tells me Alabama over UCLA. Like that's what my heart says.
Well, you just can't go with that, brother.
But my head tells me, it reminds me that I have a tremendous hatred of UCLA. So yeah, I'm going with Alabama.
All right. Well, I guess for you, I saw the Texas A&M women's. Did they win past the first round? So they're going to win the next round. Do they go to the next one?
It's the women's brackets. Does anybody care? I mean, I do, but does anybody watch that? You know what I watch more of? I watch more women's Frozen Four than I do Final Four.
Yeah, you know what happened though, right? With this stuff. We probably should, JT, you probably should have did a segment on that, on how the NCAA messed up by not putting the doggone weights in the practice.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that. We can talk about that next week.
Oh, well, I don't know nothing about this, so I'd have to catch up.
Okay, we're telling you what we want for Money Matters next week. It's a week old now, or it'll be 2 weeks old then, but that needs to be the topic. Yeah. How did it happen that the NCAA had every color bumper plate, every rack, every dumbbell, every weight for guys to lift in the tournament since they're all in the bubble, and they only gave the girls one rack of dumbbells, one.
Didn't they have just something like some yoga mats and some stuff laying around?
Yoga mats, and that was it. How in the world does that happen with this?
In this day and age.
In this day and age for equality.
That's right.
And everything else. How does that even happen? And then one day later, bam, after, some girls complain, now all of a sudden it looks like the weight room. How does that happen? And is somebody supposed to get fired for that? That's what I'd like for you to talk about next week. So y'all need to make sure y'all don't miss it. It's been a great one, man. This has been really, really good. Thank you guys. Thank you to Crystal Cooksey for coming on, and thank you for all our sponsors, Tim, JT, man. I love you guys and what you guys do, and y'all brought it tonight, baby. Y'all brought it.
Yeah,
tonight.
Last thing, I gotta brag real quick because I just want everybody to know that my Final Four still is intact, and I have 7 of my Elite 8 are still intact. So my bracket is not totally busted. It might look a little trashy at the beginning, but at the end, I still got potential.
Yeah, we're talking. You can't redraw the bracket after every series.
Hey, it's all about how many points are left. When you get in these groups, how many points? What's your ceiling? My ceiling's still high.
Yeah,
there's many points to still be earned.
Yeah, you did well, but I don't know. I overthink this stuff too much. Every year. But all right, man.
George, are we still good with Paul McKeskey joining the show?
We are good with Paul McKeskey next week. Paul McKeskey is actually a friend of the family. He's a man, one of the tallest dudes I've ever been around. But, he played at KU. Actually coached at the Mavericks for a little bit. And he actually makes a pretty good barbecue, too, I believe.
I smell some barbecue talk in there.
So I'm really looking forward to having him come on, and I don't know, guys. Maybe we got to dive into some NBA stuff, see what he thinks about LeBron and rest of these guys. Because
the power rankings have shifted in the NBA since LeBron's injury. They're no longer the favorite to win the title.
Well, wasn't it supposed to be? Who's number one then? Is it the Nets? Like I said,
it's the Nets.
Say what? I already said that long time ago. What are we waiting on?
Are you trying to tell us you had something to do with LeBron's injury?
No, I had nothing to do with that.
Okay, good.
Not the Houston Texans. But anyway, okay. So let's go,
All
man.
right.
Let's get out of here.
That'll wrap us up for this week, everybody. We appreciate you tuning in on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. We appreciate you listening, downloading the podcast, wherever you are and whoever you are. Thank you very much. And we are always on your favorite podcast app. Download it, like, share with your friends. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get notifications when new episodes drop. Again, next week, Paul McKeskey, NBA, Kansas, friend of Georgia's family. We're going to get into all the barbecue talk. And we'll have a lot of fun next week. Thank you once again to Crystal Cooksey for popping on with us, talking some officiating, some 6-man here in Texas. And boys, until next week, y'all take care.